Welcome back to another Sonic Frontiers video, guys, and today I think we've got a few things to talk about, but first I think I'll get the news out of the way, because there is some news today. I think, it could be significant, could not be, but basically what's happened is that gameplay screenshot we got last time, Sega's actually just gone ahead and completely removed it, and they re-uploaded the same image, but without the gameplay screenshot in the background. Basically what happened is on the Instagram account, they posted an image of like all the languages that are supported in Sonic Frontiers, and in the background it had this very vague picture of Sonic standing on a cliffside, and that got a lot of people talking, and I guess they didn't want that, so they just decided, okay, removed, goodbye, dun-dun-dun, and it's gone. Really weird, so I've got a few theories as to why they've removed it. I'll get to that in a bit, but first I want to discuss like Sonic's model itself in Sonic Frontiers. I want to address some points that I saw in the comments yesterday, and just what I've been seeing in general, because I think people have absolutely blown it way out of proportion. Not the fact that the model, it's actually the people trying to mock and laugh at others who are concerned for the model. I think it's very condescending, so I wanted to talk about that for a bit. So basically what's happened here is the narrative has been twisted, and now people are laughing at anyone with criticism at all whatsoever on the reuse of Sonic Forces' model. And they're saying stuff like, ha ha ha, people complaining that the quills are 0.2 centimeters shorter, and stuff like that. It's basically the same as the green eyes. It's like the entire point of the reuse is being completely missed, you know? Like, there's two reasons, at least what I stated in my video yesterday, there are two reasons for me to be disappointed with the Forces model. Number one, because the limbs are shorter, it makes it less flexible to animate. That's one of the main reasons Sonic was redesigned for Sonic Adventure, because it was 3D and they wanted to be more flexible with their animations, make it easier to move their limbs. And secondly, it's also a sign that they're reusing assets, which is a shame because they specifically said that this is the title with no compromises in terms of quality. So if there was no compromises, there'd be no reuse of assets, especially an asset as important as Sonic himself, the main model, making it inconsistent between the CGI and the gameplay, which is the same thing that happened for Sonic Forces. I just don't think it's very appealing to look at, and it also does not serve its functionality as well as past Sonic models, as past Sonic designs. It also shows, as I said in my video yesterday, that maybe, just maybe, they haven't focused very much on Sonic's look to match the realistic environments that they have for the game, and that snowball effect could possibly have led to them focusing on the world design and not Sonic himself. Now, I never said any of this was concrete. I was simply bringing up the possibility for discussion, because that's what I do. I like to look at all sides for discussion and then discuss it. I even said that there might be the possibility that this model might have just the most amazing animations ever. And honestly, if it did, I'd still be annoyed at the model being reused, but of course, I'd be much less annoyed if the animations were top tier, you know? I wouldn't really have much to complain about, because one of the reasons I don't want to use it is because the animations might become stiff again, you know? So, all of that out of the way, that doesn't sound too far-fetched, that doesn't sound too hasty, that doesn't sound like crying or mourning. But the internet always has a way of twisting, and this isn't even just talking about me, this is talking about everyone who has any sort of mild criticism on the model being used for the game. Every time this sort of thing happens for a game, this could be Team Sonic Racing, this could be Pokemon Sword and Shield, this could be Sonic Colors Ultimate, people always try and twist it in a way where we are somehow nitpicking and that our complaints don't matter simply because it doesn't matter to them. And I think that's a really bad argument, because you think you're just better than those other people, like you've ascended. Like you've ascended, and it doesn't matter what everyone else says because you like it, and if you like it, that means it is objectively good, and no one can say otherwise. These people are idiots and nitpickers and complainers, and they're whining and crying, and I really was hoping that that kind of stuff would stop, because it's really childish, you know? Like, complaints are complaints, you know? Like, it's this image right here that I've discovered recently. I think it's really funny. Can this, like, please stop? You know? People always get annoyed. Like, for example, I made a comparison video from Sonic Colors Ultimate to the Dolphin emulator. with no commentary at all. And somehow that was a bad thing, that I dared to compare emulation to a remaster that is being sold for money. Apparently that's a bad thing that is unfair, when all I did for the emulation was make it 60 FPS and put it to the same resolution as the remaster that is being sold for money. You know? That's all I did. I didn't do anything else, and somehow that is just awful, really bad. When, honestly, they should have looked the same or similar, you know? Because Dolphin, you kind of are doing a bit of tinkering to like remaster the game, sort of, in the emulator. So it should look on par with an official remaster that's being sold for money. But apparently that was just unfair. I should be comparing it to the Wii version. And sorry, get this. Not just the Wii version, but these people wanted me to compare using specific cables for the Wii. So I'm not allowed to, for example, go on my Wii U, which uses a HDMI cable, and I'm not allowed to compare to that because that would be unfair, because that's not how the most people play. That's not how the majority played the game. I have to compare it by the people who played it the most? No. I don't think I will do that. It isn't a re-release, it's a remaster. If it were simply a proper just re-release, how Nintendo would do on the Virtual Console, then fair enough. And they sold it for like $5, fair enough, but they didn't. $40 full-on remaster. Yeah, that is absolutely fair to compare to Dolphin, you know? And that's the type of stuff that people complain about. It's when people do stuff like that. Or there'll be a shit ton of graphical glitches in Sonic Ultimate, and people will twist that to say, wow, you're nitpicking that Sonic has 1 frame of animation at this point in the level that doesn't work properly. They'll just turn it into that, rather than looking at it at large and not understanding that it's not the only instance. It happens quite a lot throughout the game, and the game is being sold for money, you know? It just shouldn't happen. And then Sonic Colors Ultimate releases, and it's released in, honestly, a really poor state. I'm really disappointed, and I've said that many times in past videos. I'm really disappointed in the state of Sonic Colors Ultimate. Still am. I still think it needs many patches left in order for it to be, like, enough to be sold, you know? Even, like, lighting aside, I think the game looks really ugly, and I think they completely destroyed the aesthetic appeal of the game. But even all of that aside, the game is just buggy, and the audio is still broken. Like, it's now broken in a different way, where it is low quality, instead of it being too quiet and sound effects playing in different ears, which also still happens as well. Not as much now that they've made the audio quality worse, but it still happens, you know? It's still there. So my point is that every time there is a new game coming out that people are excited for, any criticism is gonna be twisted in a way that makes it sound stupid by people who don't agree with you. And these people will then just use that to say that they are correct. You are a dumb shit. How dare you have this criticism? Why are you looking for reasons to be negative? As if, like, and you know what, let's bring it back to the specific case of Sonic Forces model. Why is it a nitpick? It is Sonic's design for the whole game. You are playing as this character for the entire game. How is it a nitpick? You're going to be seeing it on screen at all times, you know? And the reason I know it's not a nitpick is because if it were good, and it looked really good, it looked excellent, people would be praising it to hell and back. Why would we be praising something that is such a minor feature of the game? Because it's not minor. It is the main character. And quite frankly, I think it is quite insulting to the people who work on these models to suggest that their work is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Because it's not. It is not insignificant. It's quite major. Especially, like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, okay, if it was a random bush in the overworld, like one bush, and it looked bad, fair enough. That's a nitpick. That is a nitpick. It is one minor thing. But the main character of the game? Are we really doing that? The bush example is funny, by the way, because Sword and Shield had a similar thing with the trees, except it wasn't just one tree. It was every tree in the wild area, and it looked awful. And that was on top of the rest of the game looking hideously ugly. But that, again, was also nitpicked. Like, people claim that that was a nitpick, you know, because they missed the whole point of the argument. So people are allowed to not like things. It's as simple as that. And the fact that others get so mad about it, they become the very things that they claim we are doing. Like, instead of us being the bad ones for complaining about the reuse of game assets for the main character, it has become just a bunch of people complaining about us complaining. And I'm kind of sick of seeing it. It happens every time for everything in these games, especially Sonic and especially Pokemon. Happens all of the time. I've seen it too many times to count, you know? Like, we don't just like to bring up negatives for no reason. Why would we? Negatives are bad. We want to be positive and we want to like the game. I'm saying it like a robot because it's that simple. It is that simple that we just want things to be good. It is that simple that we care about these things enough that things like this matter to us. And again, especially if it's the main character of the game. Sonic the Hedgehog, you know? It is important. Whether you like it or not, it is an important part of the game. Even if it doesn't matter to you. And that is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you are not allowed to not care about it. You are allowed to not care about it. You are allowed to enjoy the Sonic Forces model. Hell yeah. I am jealous, quite frankly, that you enjoy something that I don't, because I would rather enjoy everything than not, you know? But to say it simply does not matter because you don't care is a false argument. It is just a non-argument. Like, very well, this could still be a placeholder. And the reason I say that actually is the reason they removed it. Why would they remove such a random, insignificant image unless it showed stuff that wasn't representative of the final game? And the only thing in the image that would not be representative of the final game is Sonic himself. And it was after a few hours after I uploaded my video and it all started gaining traction and everybody else started talking about it, is when they removed the post. So they knew people were talking about it. They probably don't want people talking about it, because it's not as if they're going to try and hide the Forces model because they're going to have to show gameplay in a couple months anyways. It could be the fact that it's not the final model for the game, and they don't want to make that information that's known. They don't want to spread that info. So that's actually giving me a little bit of hope that it is still a placeholder by the fact that they removed it, because it was such an insignificant image, like completely. It tells us nothing other than potentially the fact that the game uses the Sonic Forces model. That's it. So yeah, that's the speculation part right there. That's what I can only assume is the reason they removed the image. But that is everything. Mainly, the reason I made this video is, can we please stop being so condescending towards people who have criticisms towards video games? Can we please stop pretending that because you don't like it, it doesn't matter? Because for some people, for a lot of people, and obviously for a lot of people, since this has blown up so much, the look of Sonic the Hedgehog does matter. Sonic's iconography matters. Sonic fitting into the world that he's currently in a certain game matters. Whether you like it or not, it matters. That does not mean you're not allowed to not care. You are totally free to not care about it. You are totally fine to enjoy the model. That is good. Like, you know, that's good. But don't downplay it and tell other people that they're idiot nitpickers for daring to say something. It's as simple as that, and that's it. That's everything I've got to say. I'm understanding of your opinions. Many of us are understanding of the other side of the argument. So please treat us back with a little bit of respect. Simple as that. Very simple as that. But with all that said, thank you all for watching, and hopefully I'll be back with more substantial news. Because we've not been getting a lot of it as of late, but yeah, who knows. But with all that said, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out, my dudes.